we go. Are we good? Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry, folks, we're trying to. Can everyone hear us?
Yeah, very bad echoing.
Can you hear us now?
Still the same, a lot of backlash.
Is that? Hear us now?
No. And we can hear you, but
Are you still getting feedback?
that's torture.
That one was from.
Actually, a hearing test.
That's a little better right there.
Actually, there's no echo.
Is that better? Can you hear us?
Yeah, that's good.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to get the recording on. This is all the way down, yeah, that one's all the way up. So. That one. Okay, folks, we're gonna try this. It's still a lot. I don't want to say this. You think we should come back? Hello? Hello? So you can feedback.
Make sure that her computer is green. The computer is unmuted. All right. No, so Madam Chief.
Try it again. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear
anyone hear me? Oh, yay, Angela.
Perfect.
We did it.
Deep breath, deep breath.
So we're all set?
All righty.
Okay. Hold on one second. I'm just going to check with the clerks if we're good to start. Hold on. Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for your patience. Okay, so it is, without further ado, welcome to the, I'm Councilwoman Joanne Ryan. I am here to welcome you to the Committee on Finance regular meeting, Thursday, May 27th, at 5:48. Just in the nick of time, our wonderful clerks got us operational. So thank you to Angela Harris and Donna Blegian, and remotely, Tina Mastriani was helping us out, folks. So sorry for that. And once again, thanks for your patience. Madam Clerk, could you kindly read the roll?
Chairwoman Ryan,
Present.
Councilman Narducci,
Here.
Councilwoman Castillo,
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony,
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
We have 5 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let the record reflect that we have our wonderful solicitor, Ken Cheverini, is with us this evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I don't see anyone else that I need to introduce. Oh, Pro Tem Espinal. Thank you for joining us this evening. Okay,
Deputy Majority Leader.
oh, and Deputy Majority Leader Harris. Thank you. Let the record reflect that she is in attendance. All righty, folks. We're going to take the Parks Department first. And kind of to make things easy, we're just going to swear everyone in who will be presenting tonight. So, Madam Clerk, would you kindly swear everyone in? And after you're sworn in, if you could state your name for the record.
Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and your title for the record, please.
Sarah Silveria, Finance Director.
Crystal Lindberg, Deputy Finance Director.
How about our Parks Department, starting with Wendy?
You're muted, Wendy.
You're muted, Wendy.
Sorry, Wendy Nelson, Parks Department.
Ryan Burns, Deputy Superintendent, Parks Department.
Karen Gomez, Fiscal Advisor, Parks Department.
Michael Stevens, Director, Recreation.
Stephen Piscopello, Deputy Director of Recreation.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks, folks. Once again, thanks for your patience. We're going to start with the Parks Department. I have an exhibit that I'd like to enter into the record. It is the Finance Department's financial summary. There is a annual report, organizational chart, and the 3-bar report. Let's call that Exhibit 15. May I entertain a motion for this exhibit? Motion made by Councilwoman Castillo, seconded by Councilman Narducci. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, motion passes. Madam Finance Director, Madam Severia, will you please lead us through or begin us on the Parks Department?
My pleasure. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Tonight up first we have the Parks Department. This is another multi-divisional department. So my overview encompasses all the divisions, and I'll go through that first before turning it over to the department for questions. The only revenues generated from the Parks Department in the general fund is from North Burial Ground. It's been budgeted at $340,000, consistent with fiscal 21. Moving on to expenditures, salaries, total salaries for all Parks divisions are budgeted for $7,700,738 in fiscal 22, which is an increase of $968,829. This increase is due to several organizational changes, as well as the elimination of work share savings and the 3% for 1033 and non-union. And I will go through their organizational changes with you. In the Neighborhood Parks Division, they would like to increase the compensation for the Director of Neighborhood Parks from an A22 and A22, which is a $5,097 cost. An increase in the compensation for the Manager of Facilities and Operations from an A19 to an A21 at a cost of $4,826. And then they're transferring equipment operator, 4-person, heavy equipment operator, light equipment operator from the Roger Williams Park Division to Neighborhood Park Services, and that is cost neutral. And in Roger Williams Park, they would like to defund the Roger Williams Park Manager at an A21, which is a savings of $85,958. They would like to defund a clerk 4 position for a savings of $38,425. And they would like to fund an additional museum assistant position at $37,130. The superintendent's office, they would like to create a design team manager at an A19, which is a $77,955 cost, and defund the landscape architect position at an A17, which is a savings of $70,736. They would like to create a park system specialist position at an A18, that's $74,258. Increase the temporary salaries to allow for a play core assistant director position at a cost of $5,429, and increase temporary salaries to accommodate a $15 minimum wage at a cost of $132,037. And the grand total of this reorganization and request is $141,613. Moving on to benefits, total benefits for all parks divisions are budgeted at $6,120,451, an increase of $513,316. Services, total services for all parks divisions are budgeted at $880,906. It's an increase of $2,000 over the 21 budget. And this increase is due to a reallocation of expenses in the neighborhood parks division from repairs to buildings and constructions and maintenance supply line, as well as a decrease in the zoological services dues and subscriptions. These decreases have been offset by increases in building insurance within the superintendent's budget, and a breakdown of total services by division is provided for you in this report. Supplies, total supplies for all parks divisions are budgeted at $362,598, which is an increase of $48,000. And this increase is due to increase in gravel, sand, and uniforms wearing apparel expense. and an increase in construction maintenance and supplies, which had been reallocated from repairs to building. And there's also a breakdown of those supplies by division provided for you in this report. There is no capital budget in the Parks Department, and I am happy to stop here to turn it over for any questions.
Thank you, Director. Director Nielsen, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Thank you for having us tonight.
Please, let's talk about your wonderful department that serves the entire city of Providence so well. We just got a financial picture on, before we get going into the details of what's happening in your departments, are there any vacant positions that you have in your org chart?
Yes, we have quite a few right now.
What's going on with those?
Sorry?
What's going on with those vacant positions?
So the largest chunk is for equipment operators. I believe we have 9 or 10 of those positions opened. We interviewed people over the past couple of weeks, and those are all going through the process right now. Their BCIs have cleared, and they are being onboarded as we speak. Some of the other positions are also moving ahead in that direction. So we're very excited about going into the summer with more staff than we did last year.
Are there new positions, or are these positions that you just didn't fill, or what?
Those were unfilled. Yeah, those were unfilled positions.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's talk about what you're working on, what's going on. I know that each council person has received your summary report, which is wonderful. We got a glossy report as well of all, can I see that? The glossy of the parks that you've worked on. Please tell us what's going on in your department, what your needs are, what your challenges are, what your goals are. Take it away.
Sure. And I'm here with Karen and Brian. We're just being super COVID safe. So I think that it's important to note that this year is a real testament to the Parks Department staff. I'll start by saying that we had 2 heroes today that folks may have heard, that we had 2 Parks Department employees that ran into literally a burning building to rescue people when they were on their way to get gas for their heavy machinery. So
you didn't hear that. Are they okay?
They're okay. They are both home now, but for one of them, David Doty, it was the second time that he had actually run into a burning building. The first was our own building, which burned down, which we were able to rebuild and finally opened this year. Is absolutely a fantastic building. If anyone hasn't come to see it yet, please, we'd be happy to take you on a tour. So this year, our theme of this is really the Parks Department and our true grit. So when COVID hit, we regrouped. We got all the PPE we needed. We reorganized our operations so we could get out there as soon as possible and to meet the needs of the city. Without summer seasonal staff, we sought and received a grant working with Mike Stevens and the Recreation Department as partners on it to hire summer seasonal staff, summer youth to be in our parks to keep them clean. Sometimes they were cleaning them 20 times a day. These kids kind of went crazy with that stuff. It was great. And then we looked to see how we could assist in other ways and best use our resources to help the city through this. So to that end, we were able to do a number of things with regard to, again, shifting operations. We donated over 800 bags of fresh produce and over 450, and distributed over 415,000 grab-and-go meals from March to September, again, working with Recreation on that. We donated 4,000 pounds of fresh produce to local food pantries. We created and distributed over 1,000 nature kits and 300 field guides to kids in our parks. We renovated and converted the Garvin House into a summer meals program and urban wildlife partnership offices and education centers. We hosted the second year of the Met School in Roger Williams Park, so those kids could be in school fully all year long. We launched the Stormwater Innovation Center, which is receiving national acclaim. We engaged over 2,000 students and 85 teachers through the Museum of Natural History. We opened the Todd Morsilli courts to free programs for youth. We hosted a haunted museum. We managed to keep the rink in the black and increase year-round programs. We hosted 15 fitness in the parks classes. We also celebrated the arts by creating the Parkus programs at Isaac Hopkins and Wanskuck. We hosted the Rain Harvest Festival around stormwater. We supported the Conservancy's Arts and Roger Williams Parks with weekly outdoor performances with safety circles. And we supported 4 major art installations in our parks. The big guide you have there is the 26 major park revitalization projects that we did, including Conley and Buckley Stadiums, Dexter and Fargnilly Parks, and Manton Skate Park are some of the highlights, as well as the third My Home Court at Cranston Street. And of those, you can see a lot of the before and afters in that. Generally, in a year, we complete about 35 to 40 of them, but due to COVID, while we never stopped our operations or stopped construction, other construction companies did slow down somewhat. So that number's a little less than usual, but we're really proud that we were able to accomplish so much there. We moved into our new building. We opened a new stock room. We implemented GigaTrack for all of our supplies and tools. And we are in the process of upgrading our operations software. Sadly, we performed over 300 burials this year. It was a 30% increase. And we also added a columbaria for cremation remains at North Burial Ground. We completed over close to 5,000 neighborhood park calls and close to 800 maintenance calls. With regard to trees, we still kept planting trees and met our tree goals this year and found ways to do that safely with the community, including planting 537 trees and planting another close to 3,000. We also raised close to $1 million from grants, fundraising, sponsorships, in-kind contributions, and things like that. We held 84 virtual community meetings, and we decorated Roger Williams Park for the holidays. So that's kind of a summary of what we did this year. And then next year, we've been working for the past 6 years to remedy deficiencies, to make our parks state-of-the-art, to be responsive to neighbors, and we're getting so close. We're going to be doing 10 more playgrounds this year. We're going to be doing more water parks and other things like that. And the real focus going forward is on the maintenance of that and planning ahead so that we never get in a situation that we did when Brian and I stepped into these roles 6 years ago. Keeping up on things so that deferred maintenance is not an issue. Part of that is introducing key technology and systems efficiencies to maintain all of our park and building assets. We're also expanding recreation and education opportunities for youth, particularly with non-traditional sports. We're going to hopefully open the Roger Williams Visitor Center this fall, which will be really, really exciting. We're working with other folks in the city to improve the downtown parks network. We're going to continue our employee training program. We resumed that as soon as we could this year with social distancing. We are, and then one of the other things that we're going to be doing this year is polishing our parks, that all those things that, when we came in and did some of the major infrastructure work that still needs to be done, like consistent fencing, benches, garbage cans, signs, all of those things, making sure that those really present this unified vision of who we are as a parks department and that we are really incredibly proud of the work that we do. So that's us in a nutshell.
It was very, very efficient, and it mirrors your budget. I really don't have any concerns or questions regarding the budget. Do you have any budget questions?
I don't have a budget question.
From our auditor. What are your questions?
There's two council people.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Narducci?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As most of you know, I sit on I'm a commissioner on the Parks Department, for the Parks Department, and being involved in the Little League and stuff the way I am and was, I know firsthand what the people in the Parks Department do. Question to Wendy. And Gina, stop me if I'm wrong. I'm going through the allowed and the funded positions that we have here in the budget. And I'm adding up that there's 38 positions that are allowed but not funded. And then in the North Burial Ground, there's 5 equipment operators, but only funding 2. Again, with everything that you guys doing or plan on doing, this sounds like a number that could really affect the operational end of things of what we're looking forward to doing. Can you explain to me how not funding this many positions we can work with?
Well, I think that we have been working more efficiently than we have been in the past. I think that with regard to North Burial Ground, that we do have other positions. We do have laborers. We do have heavy equipment operators. And one of the things that we are working at is, rather than working in silos, that all of our divisions really work together. So if we need to bring an equipment operator over to North Burial Ground, we can indeed do that. The place that we were really deficient on last year was, again, not being able to fill positions and the lack of seasonal employees. So this year we're hoping to have the seasonal employees on, which will help out significantly, particularly North Burial Ground. A lot of that is handwork. It's real, it's real true labor.
So you think then, Superintendent, that these 38 positions we don't need?
I would not say that at all. However, I think for this year, where we are recovering from a very, very tough year, and we are hiring a lot of people to replace positions that we weren't, that had gone unfilled, that this will give us an opportunity to gain some ground. And then next year, I think we can really take a deeper dive into those other positions.
The reasoning it, the old saying is, once you let go, next year they can turn around and say, well, if you didn't need them last year, what do you need them for this year? I think the Parks Department should be fully funded. We got other departments that are asking for more staffing and 7 to 10 more people, in certain departments in City Hall and stuff. And I also want it to be known that the work that the Parks Department has done, our employees, our 1033 members, by building playgrounds and welding and all different stuff that we used to pay for, hundreds of thousands of dollars to build a playground. That I know in my area there was one down on Ashland Street that cost about $45,000 because our guys did it. It would have been almost $100,000 with an outside contractor. What I don't want to see, Wendy, is you saying right now we can do without these positions, and then next year, again, coming back at us saying, well, you guys agreed that you didn't need them last year. Well, what do you need them this year for? You know what I mean? I think every position should be fought for. I think every position should be funded. I can understand the heavy equipment operators, backhoe operators at North Burial Ground, but I think we as the finance committee and the council that know what's going on in our neighborhood should really fight for as many of these positions that we can get funded this year. Never mind waiting until next year. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Leader Taylor, do you have a question?
Nope, not a question. Kudos, I guess. I'd like to follow up on Director Nielsen's first comment about the 2 people, Gary and David, I believe it is. And I put in a resolution today that should come up on the next docket for them. And I actually put in to give them the, I forgot what they call it. The chairwoman can probably help me. The thing that Al Destiamp's got, the award from the council, or what do they call that? I'm sorry.
The Epstein something.
No, it's an honor. It's a Medal of Honor. The council's Medal of Honor or something. But
Yes.
very good. Thank you
Yes.
for doing that.
I did put that in for them because obviously being a firefighter, I appreciate, what they do, but also being a council person. And I'd also like to say kudos to Wendy and Brian and everybody in the Parks Department, because I know, and Brian can attest to this, I have him on speed dial. I probably call him more than Wendy and his wife and everybody does. But no, they do excellent work just to show, and we can compare, the chairwoman will jump in, Conley Stadium and Buckland Stadium, well, Buckland Field, the two best, I believe, in the city. The chairwoman will not argue on that. And I believe, the basketball court, Halloween fields, as you know, all my money, when I got on, I put all my money in parks, and people can actually see the big improvements, but also all the hard work that goes into it. So I'd like to say thank you again this year, Wendy, Brian, everybody in the Parks Department, for all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I think we all feel the same way about the Parks Department. Director Nielsen, you are absolutely amazing. And we talked about positions not being filled. You're running the Parks Department very efficiently, very effectively. I think every single council person appreciates your commitment. You treat every ward as if it were your own home. And that's one of the things we love about you. And Brian Burns, you're right there with her. So we appreciate it. I called Brian the other day and I asked him a question about one of my parks, and he said, "Oh, let me run right over there." The response to council people is just really remarkable. We genuinely feel that your response is just so supportive of what we try to do in our parks. And I think that we learned through this pandemic how important our green space, we always knew how important it was, but it just became such a vital outlet for so many people. And we just appreciate your help to get us through that and still utilize our parks. Conley Stadium is a wonderful location. I would have to agree with the leader. We go back and forth about whose is better, but so I would like to say tonight they're both really, really tremendous projects. What I'd like to ask Wendy, if we could hear a little bit more. I know there's been a spotlight on Brian's work in the demonstration project that he has at Roger Williams Park. He said it was getting national attention. Can we ask Brian to talk about that a little bit, what's happening there? Because I don't think a lot of people know what he has accomplished. So can he share that with the group tonight?
That would be
It's good work.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you all for your kind words. We're incredibly grateful for the support of the council, and we look forward to making your visions a reality. So here's
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you all committee members. We appreciate your kind words. We strive to do the best we can here in the Parks Department. About 3 years ago, we started the Stormwater Innovation Center here in Roger Williams Park. We were moving forward with the consent agreement work that Rhode Island DEM and the City of Providence signed into. We had to build some 42 stormwater best management practices, and thought that if we're going to go through this process, if we can try to innovate what's readily accepted by DEM and do a little better, and with the background in construction that we had, we kind of thought there was some things we could do better, and it turns out that there was. We've given many trainings to not only our own staff, but to Rhode Island DOT. We've had DEM members as our leadership team. We've done a lot of innovative work with our engineers, with researchers from URI. There's a Stormwater Center at the University of New Hampshire. As we speak, there's live streaming water quality data coming from the Seal House and Commonwealth Dam here in Roger Williams Park, right to those researchers at UNH and URI. We have done many, many talks with EPA, federal EPA, asking us to talk about our trainings and innovations. And we continue to do that, as well as the Rain Harvest Art Festival. We're in our second year of that. We brought students from Providence schools, Cranston schools, out into our stormwater sites. We painted murals on catch basins throughout the city to teach a little bit more about that. A lot of public outreach, turned the Seal House into a kiosk for stormwater and other initiatives that we have going on here in Roger Williams Park. So that continues to take a leadership role in stormwater, not only in Rhode Island, but in New England, and we're happy to keep that work going. Eventually, we will have clean water here in Roger Williams Park, and with some recent grant applications, we could see that sooner rather than later.
Thank you very much, Brian, and I can also attest to the work that you do in the neighborhoods. You helped me with a stormwater management project on Pleasant Valley Parkway that has been a tremendous project, so thank you for that work. Like I said, I'm very pleased with your financial presentation. I know the auditor there's somebody else. Okay, Councilman Espinal.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ryan. Isn't it wonderful when department directors come before us and we can just talk about the wonderful work that they do? I mean, this is just wonderful. And Chairwoman Ryan talks about Conley Stadium, and later Taylor talks about Buckland Park. Well, I want to talk about Columbia Park, which is in my ward. It's a great park. You want to come and check it out. And thanks to Wendy and the Parks Department. And also Richardson Park, which soon will be getting a facelift, among others. So I just want to highlight the work that Wendy and Brian and the entire Park Department team is doing. I think it's wonderful. And I just want to echo your expressions on that. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Councilman Espinal. I just would like to say you raise a very good point, Pro Tem. Every single park is very special. Special to the folks in the neighborhood and special to the council people. But I think the exciting thing and why we love our Parks Department as much as we do, they approach every park it's a unique living structure. And they customize whatever the needs and the wants of the neighborhoods and the community is, and that's what makes it so exciting. It's not the same park they put in every neighborhood. The park reflects the wants, needs, and desires of the community, and I think that's what makes it so special. I love the fact that they sit around and have brainstorming sessions about what can be done. And what's more important is what can be done with the limited dollars that we have helps us all in the end run. That's why they're so effective and why they're so efficient. This is just a big love fest. Now, Councilman Narducci, I see you have your hand up. Would you like to speak, or you just have to put your hand up?
Just brief, because I want to add my park in there too. You guys are going to come down and see Preet Metcalf too.
So you should perhaps challenge them to the obstacle course.
I will do that. And Wendy, I think we really need to mention how much work the commission has actually put into supporting the things that you and Brian do bring forward that we feel are very important to the city, period.
Yeah. We are incredibly grateful to have the Board of Park Commissioners, in particular Councilman Narducci and Council President now Igliozzi sitting on that. We are incredibly grateful for their guidance, their support, their innovation, their willingness to be at the table to help us figure these things out. So we're truly, truly grateful to have such an amazing team behind us.
Since we've heard so much about so many of the parks, I think we need to plan a tour, a council tour. We need to get on a rec center bus or two. We're going to have to ask the Director Stevens if he can help us out. I see him smiling. But I think we should plan a tour for council members, and we should go to each park. And hopefully we can set that up.
I would love to do that. In fact, we do that with the park commissioners, but we also do it with our staff. And we do it with our office staff as well, so that they get out and see when they're doing payroll, when they're processing invoices, when they're doing answering phone calls, that they understand the impact of their work behind the scenes and what ultimately that leads to. So every one of them has a hand in what we create. So we do an annual tour. This fall was our first year in 6 years that we did not do that tour. We all pile into a bus and with cookies, in one of Mike Stevens' vans with cookies. Sorry, Mike, I think we leave some crumbs. And do that. So we would be honored. That would be absolutely fabulous. Would love to.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that, okay? That's, if you need some money in the budget for that, we'll make arrangements.
So no beer and pizza?
We can do that too.
That I'm more to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, it's still good. I just, your tool tracking system, how is that working out?
That's working out really, really well. We just, as you know, before we were literally working out of trailers for the past 5 years. And so we found ourselves without a storage facility or any of those things. We had to make daily trips to Home Depot and things that were just not necessarily as cost efficient. So now that we have the system, we have everything in our warehouse and we check everything out with GigaTrack. Everything it's like a scanner in a grocery store. So we sign it out to you, including disposable items so that we can track how much we're using, as well as items that we expect to be returned at the end of the day, and some items that might go out the week. So if you're going to be doing weed whacking all week, your team will be assigned a weed whacker and what have you that would then stay with you all week. But Brian, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, in addition, we clock out the keys and gas cards every single day. So we make sure every single key to every vehicle and every gas card is back in the stockroom before the stockroom manager can leave. It also gives us reorder levels. So if we're down on ear protection or gloves at a certain level, our system will tell us you only have 500 left, you have to reorder, and this is the reorder level that we set. It sends out work orders. So it's an effective, comprehensive system, and it's been working tremendously.
Has your upline tried to spread it out to other departments in the city? Because if it's successful, I don't understand. Other larger departments could be using that too. The garages, the DPW, are they aware of it? Do they?
Yeah, we would be happy to share with folks. We've been once we moved into the warehouse and opened up the stock room, we've been really working on that I think the past 6 months now to really get that up and running. So we're ready.
That's great. That's great. That was all I have to comment. Thank you.
Okay, council members, committee members, council members, any questions for Director Nielsen? I don't see any hands up. Once again,
I want to make a comment for
Councilman Castillo, please.
I want to say thank you very much for the park department and National Grid to come to my garden today and made an amazing job. They are so happy. Thank you, Wendy, for your hard work and coming to this park to make it possible and better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And your fitness center will be starting construction soon. All the construction people are a little backed up because they're having supply chain issues and other things, but it is slated to go. So that's also very exciting. So you'll have to come work out with Councilwoman Castillo at her park, which will also be fabulous. So
thank you.
Madam Chairwoman,
it's Helen.
Oh, Councilman Anthony. Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I also have to pipe in, Wendy. Really, you have been instrumental to me in trying to improve my parks. I can't even begin to talk about them. So everything I call you about, you're so prompt and so helpful. I also want to mention about how grateful we are for your work and your team working on keeping the bridge, our brand new bridge, cleaned after so much graffiti and terrible things have happened on the bridge. So our new bridge, and I wanted to thank you so much for all of those efforts also.
thank you very much. And Brown Street Park, the Adult Fitness Center opened up last night. And the rest of that park will hopefully be within the next 3 weeks. So we're going to have cause to celebrate there as well as challenge your fellow counselors to some athletic events.
Wonderful.
Oh, boy.
Thank you.
Oh, no.
We better all get in shape, is all I have to say.
You can go first, Councilman Anthony. Okay. Thank you, Parks Department. I think you've got some great feedback. We're really thrilled with all the work that you do on the budget. When we looked at it earlier today, I have no challenges or concerns with it, and your work is fabulous and fantastic, and we all appreciate it. So thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
I have no further questions for you, so you're all set. So now we're going to switch over to our rec center, our recreation department. They've been waiting very patiently, and that's a tough act to follow, but I have every confidence that great things are happening in our rec center as well, our rec department as well. So with that, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter a package prepared by the finance department, financial summary. I've got an org chart, I've got an annual report, I've got a three-bar chart that we want to call Exhibit 16. Exhibit 16, may I have that motion?
Motion made, Madam Chair.
Motion made by Councilman Narducci, seconded by?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Castillo. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, Madam Director, could you kindly lead us in the finances of this department?
Happy to. So next up tonight, we have the Recreation Department. There's no revenue in this department. Salaries in fiscal 22 are budgeted at $1,551,608, which is an increase of $215,724. The change is partially due to an increase in compensation for the director from a grade A24 to an A27, as recommended by the Salary Review Commission. And additionally, salaries change for the elimination of the work share program and the 3% increase in 1033 and non-union. Benefits for 22 are budgeted at $913,452, an increase of $63,858. Services in fiscal year 22 are budgeted at $178,000. This is an increase of $25,000 over the 21 budget, and this is due to the department's request to install monitors at all rec centers that would display events happening throughout the city. Supplies in 22 are budgeted at $77,997, a decrease of $2,053. And this decrease is due to a reduction in housekeeping supplies, which has partially relocated to stationery and had been further reduced by departmental requests along with historical trends. The rec seasonal budget also does not have any revenue. Salaries are budgeted at $1,944,000, an increase of $1,460,000. This increase is due to a $15 minimum wage requested for all city employees, and also the need to return to pre-pandemic temp staffing levels for rec programming occurring this summer. Benefits in fiscal 22 are budgeted at $79,866, a decrease of $6 from the 21 budget. Services for fiscal 22 are budgeted at $50,000, which is consistent with the 21 budget, and there's no supply and no capital equipment expense budgeted in this department. I'm happy to pause here to turn it over for questions.
Thank you, Director. Director Stevens, where are you? There you are, right in the center of the screen. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm here.
Welcome, Director Stevens. I hope you didn't mind listening to all those wonderful things we had to say about our Parks Director.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ryan. I think that the Parks Department does a great job, and I have nothing but respect for the work that they have done during the past years that she's been there. So I know she does a great job. What I would like to talk about is a tough year that we had last year when we could not open up our recreation centers due to the pandemic. That was a tough time, but what was great about tough time is seeing how close my staff was to help people in need. So they made sure they were outside serving meals during the whole pandemic. They were in the front line serving meals, and also they would take orders from the phone and drop meals off to families in need. To me, that's a sign of a team. It's not about it's about a team. I was really proud of my center director and assistant directors and some of my part-time directors really step up in a time of need, and that made me feel phenomenal. Not only that, they also stepped up to help out with the vaccine, the COVID-19 testing. They also stepped up. They were there. They stepped up for the vaccine clinics. Every time they were asked, they stepped up. It did not matter what it was. They stepped up, and to me, that's a sign of a team. Where are we heading? There's a lot of places we're heading. This year, we will be going full slate with summer programming. One is the fact that we have 90% of our camps already filled. We have pools we're definitely going to be opening all our pools this summer. We got all our neighborhood cookouts that we're going to have at every recreation center. All water parks will be open, no different than it was last year during the pandemic. The thing that really gets me, and I'm going to take you for a little ride real quick to understanding where my head's at as a director of the department. We know what's going on in the world today and understanding all the violence that's happening in our neighborhoods. But the thing that we don't understand is that Mike Stevens was one of those kids that could have been part of that. So think about a 7-year-old kid with a mother and a father at home. The police officers come to their house and they arrest the father. They arrest the father. The father's gone for 15 years. Now that kid's dealing with just a mom with the mom working 2 jobs just to make sure that she takes care of her son. But the issue that's happening is the fact that we forget about that kid who don't have anybody home to be there with him. We forget about that. So now he's looking for love somewhere else. And where he's getting that love at is either 3 places. He's getting it in the street, he's getting it in the gangs, or he's getting it in our recreation centers. That's where he's getting it at. So now it's our responsibility to be able to talk to our kids, as we talk about, I'm talking about recreation centers, to talk to our kids and ask those questions. Are you okay? Now the father at 15 years come home. Now he wants to be part of the kid's life. The kid's already gone now because he found love somewhere else because somebody else. It wasn't because the mom didn't try to give it to him. It was absolutely because the fact the mom was working 2 jobs. That's what it was. So now he already found love somewhere else. So after he found love somewhere else with the gang or hanging with the gangs and doing the wrong thing, that is where we're losing kids at. This is where the true story of where we're losing kids at. It's about broken lives make broken hearts. So a broken family makes broken hearts. So when that kid feels that he can get more energy or more love for someone else, that's where he goes. That's what he does. He goes where he's comfortable at. So for the year that we were closed, I think we lost some of that because of the pandemic. So we lost the love that those kids love going to our recreation center. So when we see these violence things step up, I ask my directors in our meetings, is that we need to step and ask them, are they okay? What is wrong? The slogan I would use is, if you see something, say something. If you see the kid is something wrong with him today, say something to him. So that's a slogan that we use in our directors meeting. So where we're heading at is the fact that I'm feeling, what can recreation do to help this violence and the situation going on? Well, one part that we're looking at, we may have to extend certain recreation centers open till 11 o'clock at night. We might have to do that. We got to give an outlet for those kids, those 14 to 18-year-olds or whatever it may be, is getting the opportunity to have a safe place that they can honestly feel comfortable about themselves. And I can tell you, as a director of recreation, and growing up in the city of Providence and growing up with a mother by herself with 9 brothers and sisters, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it to a point it hurts me more and more every single day that we have kids that don't have the opportunity to be heard, to be loved. So I feel that we can do all these programs that we do, but if we don't have the communication with them, we're not going to be successful. We're going to keep having the same thing go over and over again. So the 2 things that I brought up that something's important is, one, that kid who's 7 years old, who now 22 years old, he doesn't like the police because he took his father away for 15 years. How is he going to have respect for police when you took someone I loved away for 15 years? That's an issue. The other issue, we talk about school. I'll tell you what the issue is. You can have a kid in class that's out of control. The teacher has to discipline him for 45 minutes. The class is only 50 minutes. Now kids are only getting educated for 5 minutes because she has to discipline kids for 45 minutes to be able to get him under control. Now that whole class is lost with no education that day. So my opinion, why I'm saying this to you is that I am working so hard with the staff in my department. And I'll tell you, I think I got phenomenal staff. I don't care what anybody say. I love my staff to death. And I think they have the biggest hearts. They work hard. But the key thing I need to get them to understand is, how can we, as the recreation department, make the change for those kids? We can't save everybody. Let's get that straight. We can't save everybody. But can we give them the some type of comfortable feeling, or maybe love, that we can be able to help them when they have a tough time? So that is one of the things that I'm working on with the department. And that's something that's very dear to my heart, that's what I want. And that's what I'm trying to bring the recreation department to. We have a lot of kids registered. Kids are happy to be back in the rec centers. We're doing everything we can. But the key point that we're not doing is not seeing the issues in their face when they come to our recreation center and not asking them, do they need our help? So that is one of my big goals. I am proud of my staff. I'm so proud of Jackie Poulius, who's a guy who's absolutely has helped us change the department to another level. I greatly appreciate Steve Piscopo as deputy director. He has been phenomenal. I also have to give so much respect to the partnership, Helene Miller, who has also helped us bring our recreation centers to a different level. Not just people think it's sports. It's not just sports. It's gardening. It has changed our whole department. And one thing I can say, when Mike Stevens leaves this department, I can be able to lay my head on the pillow and says, we have changed the department for the better. And that is something that's important to me. So I just wanted to let you guys know my feeling, my motivation, my love of seeing kids blossom, and try to see other ways that we can still change this violence that's going on in our city right now.
Thank you, Director Stevens. I've got a question on how many youngsters participate in your programs at the rec centers?
Right now, or?
Right now. Well, you know what? Why don't you give me your historic number?
Okay.
You know, what do you usually serve and what are you serving now? Because I do know the numbers are down.
Yeah. Our numbers are down, but our numbers are always down in the spring because kids want to be outside. So our numbers, our biggest numbers always the summer and the winter. That's our biggest number. We average from 1,500 kids in a rec center to 1,000 kids. It depends. Okay. But when we're in the spring, we're probably down to 300, 400 kids in the 300, 200 kids during a week in our rec centers because they're outside at the parks.
Okay. When are the rec centers going to be open for the season?
The rec center's been open since April 6th.
Okay. How about the pools and the water parks?
Water parks will be open on June 28th. Pools, we have not came with a number rate. We have not came with a date yet right away because I'm working with public property to make sure that when we put that date out there, that everyone knows that that's what the date is. I never want to put a date out there and then people get upset that I said it was going to open this one day and we don't open, and it brings a lot of issues to the community. So I will let you know that as soon as I know.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see a couple of hands up. Councilman Narducci. You're muted, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Stevens, Assistant Director Piscopel, below. Again, thank you very much for what you guys have done all the years. Michael, I know firsthand what your staff did throughout the pandemic, like you said, with serving the meals and stuff outside the rec centers, and you can't ask for more than that. I love the attitude moving forward. As most of you are aware, I was one of them kids. I wasn't from a rich family. I had 7 brothers and sisters, and my dad, had a work to do. We had to do. My mom took care of us. We were basically brought up at the Wanska Boys and Girls Club, where God rest his soul back then. It was the director Mario Volpe. And it worked back then. I mean, you knew you had a safe haven, a place to go. And again, our neighborhood, Charles Street back then, you could have took the right or the left. And we decided to take the right and hang at the boys club. We have to realize that more programming is very, very important, more so now than ever. You seen it not too long ago. I think it was last week or 1 or 2 weeks ago anyway, where a 14-year-old was shot to death. 14 years old. Director Stevens, I feel for what you're saying. 14 years old, shot to death. We need our rec centers open. We need we need a area for these, I'm going to call them seniors of the group growing up now. We have a lot going on for the younger kids. We need to start hitting that age of, like that 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, and even older. Keeping the rec centers open till 11 o'clock at night, I think, is a phenomenal idea. I've been fighting for that for a few years, as you're well aware of.
Yep.
My question to you, and your honest opinion, which I know I'll get anyway, is do we have the funding to make sure that these rec centers can stay open till 11 o'clock moving forward, and maybe even Saturdays and stuff that, that we need because of course the weekends and the summer months of the West for all the violence, the summer months of the West. But what I want to make sure is that we don't just talk about this, we do it. But if we need more funding, or if you're looking to get, and I'm just kicking a number around, Mike, if you're looking for this committee and us as council people to say, listen, we need to lock in $50,000 for the rec centers to be open at this time to accommodate the older kids, or I say young adults. I need your advice on that, myself and my colleagues, because again, like I said, and I respect everything you guys do as much as I did with the Parks Department. I've had a relationship with Steve for many, many years, way back from even the Little League days together and stuff. I know your hearts are in the right place, but we have to have the funding to make sure the funding is where the hearts are. It's no good to have the hearts there and not be able to fulfill what we're all agreeing on that we need to do moving forward. Thank you.
Councilman, I will give you nothing but credit, because I have to say to you, that is what you've been asking for me before. You asked the same question before, and I respect that, Councilman. And I had a conversation with Steve Piscopello, and I said, we have to do this. Do we have the funding to do this? And I know Steve will sit there and say yes, because I talked to him. But the thing that's important for me is I am talking to Hugh Clemens and sit down with him and having him understand what we need to do. Chad Brown, let's talk about Chad Brown. That's an area we got to open up. I know that. Chad Brown's an area we got to open up. Vincent Brown, we have to open up.
And we've talked about Chad Brown a little while ago, of getting some even basketball leagues and stuff in there later on in the night, for the kids.
Yeah, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna get John Rollins another area, and West End's another area. We got to do that, because that's the only way.
I'm sorry, Director Stevens, but I understand Councilman Narducci is asking you if you have enough money in the budget to achieve that goal. He doesn't want to talk about it. He wants to make sure that we can get that accomplished.
As I said before, Steve Piscopo, I talked to Steve this morning, and Steve said, yes, we do. So that was something that was asked of me by Councilman Narducci, and Steve said, yes, we are good to go to make that happen.
Madam Chair, Michael, if I may,
Please.
with this with the funding levels that we're discussing tonight in the 602 seasonal account, I think we can expand ourselves and stretch ourselves to a point where we can do the things that we haven't been able to do in the past. I know a lot of that money is allocated towards minimum wage, and that's a big issue, obviously, with the escalation of minimum wage. But I do feel we have a cushion that we can do different things around different neighborhoods. And I think when we discussed the budget internally, we knew that what the number we put forth was with expansion in mind, not only in our recreation centers that we have, but also in areas where we know we're deficient and that need our support. Obviously, Chad Brown being one of them. So I feel comfortable saying that we have the funding with the levels that we're looking for this evening to accomplish those goals. I think anything short of that, then it's going to be a, as they say, rob Peter to pay Paul type of situation. And we've been able to pull that off in the past, and we'll do it again if we have to. But it's always comfortable knowing if you have that type of funding level to accomplish the goals that you're putting forth for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Taylor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I'd just like to reiterate Councilman Narducci's statement that he said. I would like to see night baseball, maybe West End play North End, different stuff like that. As I've known Councilman Narducci from before being council, him being president of the Little League up there, me being president of the Little League down here. And I know, Mike, Steve, you can attest to this, that we got to get the kids doing something. Because like you said, they're coming from broken families, whatever. And Michael, Steve, and Councilman Narducci, you can attest to when you were there, or you're still there, you guys, and you're not only a coach or a president or director of recreation or deputy director. To some of these kids, you're a parent. You're a mentor. It hurts me when I see all these kids that are, getting shot or doing the shooting, and some of those kids. Like I know some of the kids that came from Elmwood Little League, or and it's a shame that we can't do better to try to keep these kids busier. I just want to reiterate that I would love to see that be a thing to come to fruition. To see, because that's what Billy Jones was about, especially at West End. He was about getting those kids and playing basketball and keeping those kids off the street. And I think not only, God rest his soul, it's good for the kids. It's something that he would like. And also on a separate issue, I want to thank Mike and Steven for always being available. I know we had a little issue. We had a couple issues. And Mike formed a Zoom meeting right away and got the people involved and got the issue straightened out and didn't let the thing fester and I appreciate that. I appreciate, if I can call up and he gets all the people within a week. He got all the people together on a Zoom meeting, and not only once, did it twice. And, I appreciate appreciate doing that because it helps everybody in the long run. So thank you. And thank you, Chairwoman, for the time.
Thank you, Councilman. Great remarks. Pro Tem Espinal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Stevens, thank you so much. Thank you for making it so personal, for putting your own story, sharing that with us. It shows the passion and the drive that you have to help these kids out. So if there was ever a time that we need to duplicate our work, it's now. The level of violence that it has increased, it's really unacceptable. So I think that's what Councilman Aducci was making sure that you have the appropriate funding that you need. And don't be too shy to say, let's add some more to the effort that you put in front. Because if we needed to go the extra mile at this time, I think that we would be willing to do that. Because these kids, especially in some of our area in South Providence, they have not had the privilege of growing up with a structured family. And I personally believe that that's where it all happens, and that's where we lose some of our kids. They don't come from that stable family. And so here we are as leader, as elected official, we have to be the substitute. And we have to do that through programming, through opportunity, through options, giving them what they need at an early age. And that's why I so much support your effort. So if there is anything else that you could think of that we could and should be doing to help these kids out, we will be there 100%. I mean, if you look at the latest reports of these kids that have been out there committing murders and shooting people, they're 14, they're 18, 19. It breaks my heart to have to read that every day. It tells you exactly where they come from, that there has been no love, there has been no structure, there has been no support, that something has failed, that society.
I think our pro tem just froze up. I think he froze up. Okay, let's go to Deputy, oh, there he's back. You froze up just a little bit.
I did? Well, I forgot what I said.
A few words we missed.
Yeah, so just to reemphasize, thank you so much. And I'm glad that you're there. Your department is there to offer that foundation that some of our kids are lacking, the love and the support that they need. And whatever we can do as elected official, now is the time, and you can count on us to be there for you. And just want to reiterate my appreciation for the work that you do, and you do it so well. And thank you for your work during the pandemic. I lived it, I saw it, it was there with the vaccines and also with the meals that were being distributed. Thank you.
Thank you, Pro Tem. Deputy Majority Leader Harris, I believe, is with us.
Are you there? And I'm behind my camera for a purpose and a reason. Okay. So excuse me for that. However, thank you for having me, and thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to speak. Yeah, this is really, I really enjoyed the presentation coming from a human perspective. I think that's why I got into the work that I do. I mean, it's important for us to paint, I guess, for some people, to paint lines in the street, bike paths, all kind of designs all over the street. But when it comes to human needs, that's a different story. I got into this work because of the fact there's a need and a human need. I see that's what's happening within our recreation department. Our leaders there are providing for some of our most valuable components, the most valuable people on earth, our young people. Their job is harder than any job that I can say that I am doing within my work. Even though I work really hard, I think it's harder to be able to try to figure out how do we start to help with some of the things that we have not really paid a lot of attention to, which is our young people. I think people like Councilman Narducci, I remember when he came over one time way before I got into this position and saved the Southside Boys Club. I thought that was wonderful coming from one other side of town to think of a boys club that was closing as a council person and investing money. It wasn't like, oh, wow, let me just make sure that my constituents see that I'm doing a really good job in my neighborhood. But he was thinking about Providence as a whole. So things like that make me understand what real leadership is and how I really, really want to do this work from a human perspective. And just listening to the recreation department, I think that's a beginning of thinking about how do we think about our young people and really invest in them and really support the recreation department in a real kind of way. Financially, number one. Number two is make sure that we equalize, make sure every kid around Providence, or even if they come out of the state or whatever, are taken care of in an equal way. Bringing me to a question about, I remember when we were talking at one finance meeting, and I questioned about the vehicles that our kids ride around in. I questioned that, and I asked about them, but little to my surprise, there was a lot of other recreation centers who received these new fleets, they call them. But however, my recreation center did not. So I have a question maybe for administration on why and how was that decision made? Because I want to hear truth instead of stuff that is just put out there just to make my ears itch. But really truth. I really come to the table asking for truth. Madam Chair, I'm gonna stop at that. I really like to have an answer around how many departments received a new van. And although I had cried out for this very beginning, knowing that that recreation department that I have in my neighborhood, David Lopes, really needed a van, and that many, many times that van had broke down with kids aboard. Just a safety answer. I've asked this question before and I'm gonna ask it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Stevens.
Absolutely. And Councilman, that's if I was a councilman over there, I would ask the same question. So I think it's a great question. I just want to let you know that we have 9 recreation centers that have received new vehicles in the last 3 years. The next 2 vehicles that's in the master lease, in the new lease this year is Davy Lopes and Zugalo Recreation Center. That's the 2 vans. That's the only one. And when those 2 recreation centers get their vans, then in the last 3 years, all recreation centers will be able to have. They all would have brand new vans. So they are in the lease this year. And we have put Davy Lopes and Zugalo with our last 2 to be done.
And is, Madam Chair.
Yes, please, go right ahead.
Through the master lease, is there RFP or something like that? What is it that slows this master lease down from the summer, them being able to have a van or whatever? Why is there a certain date or something? I feel like...
if I may, I'm just going to jump in here. The council passed a master lease. Within the master lease, there were vans, and Director Stevens has testified that there's going to be 2 vans purchased. I think the next question is, Director Stevens, will they be available? When will they be available? And basically, when will they be at the rec centers? What's the process now?
So we put them in last. Let's see if you can maybe answer this one. I think we put them in last budget, and that we just received them maybe a month ago. Steve, is that true?
Yeah. Yes. We initially put in for 7 new vehicles. The previous budget, they allocated 5 new vehicles in the previous budget, which we received approximately about a month ago. The administration is well aware that we're too short, and they, I believe, are looking to find the funding to purchase the new vehicles in this particular budget. Obviously, the master lease goes to Board of Contract and Supply, goes through all the different channels that it has to: advertisement, bidding process, awards. So at the very least, it's probably 4 to 6 months away from the potential of having the 2 new vehicles available.
So the master lease is coming before us, what, next week, Madam Auditor? Okay, we'll raise that question, but what I'm hearing loud and clear is Deputy Majority Leader Harris needs a van for her rec center, and there's another rec center that needs a van. So we'd like, between now and when the master lease comes before this body, I'd like you to do an assessment of the vehicles that you have that service the rec centers, and make sure each one has a functioning, shiny van for our youngsters. We don't want anybody breaking down en route to get to a pool on a hot summer day. So please look into that, and the council will help make sure that we accomplish that goal. All right? Thank you. Is that okay, Councilwoman Harris?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Okay. So I'd like to ask Director Stevens just a couple of questions regarding the budget. There's a line in the budget referring, it's 52,245 taxes real estate. Is that right? 52,245 for $12,000. What is that about?
I think that's Camp Cronin down in Narragansett. I think that's the taxes on Camp Cronin down in Narragansett.
Correct.
That's a lot.
It actually went up $3,000. It used to be 12. So it definitely got reassessed at a higher amount.
What's going on with Camp Cronin? Okay, that's a question for another day. Thank you for explaining that. Can someone explain to us, there's an increase in program expense. It was $25,000 in FY21, and it's going to $50,000 in 22. And that, can anybody explain that increase for program expense?
Steve, is that the monitors? Steve?
Yeah, we felt as though it was a very good idea to purchase basically message boards, digital message boards for all the recreation centers. I mean, if you go into a recreation center now, you see a lot of handwritten stuff on the walls and schedules and what have you. We felt as though we needed to get into the new age of doing business and provide a digital board that basically highlights what we're doing on a regular daily basis and what events are coming up in each recreation center and around the city. I think it's a good way to spread our message. We again, without magic markers and sheets of paper with tape on walls is something that I think we can get by.
Good for you.
And get something a little bit more accessible to the whole public, and we anticipate doing it both in English and Spanish. So we will identify, we're trying to identify a vendor once this budget is approved to start that process. And we're very excited about that. And I think it would be a great asset to each recreation center if they are put up.
Thank you. Does each rec center have security cameras? This comes up every year. We get a different answer every year.
Councilman, it comes up every year, but I do have to say this part. We have sat down with public property and really public property. They have came out and they have went to every recreation center and set up all where the cameras would be at. I know that we are waiting for it to be awarded, but I know that the process is definitely happening because I saw paper, I saw all the documents on it, so I know it's definitely going to happen. So I'm really proud of that because I think that's something that's very important. But talking to public property and seeing it all on paper, I know it's going to happen and it's going to happen soon. So I'm very happy about that.
Thank you, thank you. We're not going to have to bring it up next year, right?
I don't want to, please. Trust me, I don't want to.
Okay, great. I think that's all I have. Do you, Madam Auditor, do you have any questions?
No, level funded. I'm all set.
You're good? I don't have any further questions. questions. Just a comment on, thank you very much for the work that you do. The rec centers are so important. They touch so many families, so many lives. I can speak directly to the impact that the Battistini Rec Center has had in my ward, and I know the rec center worked very closely with Helene Miller. We introduced produce in the park. The rec center plays an integral role in actually delivering shares of food, fresh produce, directly to families in need, and that has been a tremendous, tremendous program. And the rec center staff that deliver the food are genuinely thrilled to be able to provide that service. So we're doing some great things in our rec centers. Please continue your great work. And I think that we need, since we're going to use your vans on the council tour of the parks. We like, and I think that'll be a donut run, but I think we'll do the pizza for the rec center runs. But I'd like to ask you to set up tours for the entire council. It could be done in groups, but I think that it's important for us to get out to our rec centers and physically see the good work that you're doing. But also, you know, we'd like to visit at a time when our youngsters are in those rec centers, so that they can understand and appreciate how valuable, how important it is for us to invest in our youth through the rec centers. I see Deputy Majority Leader Harris has her hand up. Would you like, oh, there's her face. Councilwoman Harris, do you have something you'd like to say?
She's muted.
I finally fixed my computer. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I want one more thing to add to that, and I want to thank everybody for their comments. This is really, really very important to all the councils, our children, and our departments. I want to thank you especially. I want to bring this up because there used to be only boys that had activities in the recreation center now. Now, our young ladies, our young women now are able to participate. I want to definitely point that out. That's very important. Years and years, you know, we've been left out of things as women. So thank you for making that real.
Thank you, Councilwoman Harris. Thank you.
But basketball for women is very important too. Okay, folks, that's all I have. Thank you. I don't see any hands. You're all set, Madam Auditor? Okay, committee, council members, Director Silveria, are you satisfied? Do you have any questions, concerns? You're good? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I entered both packages, right? Okay. We are going to waive the reading, a motion to waive the reading of items 1 through 4 and continue. May I entertain that motion? Motion made by Councilman Nanducci, moved his lips. I saw it.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Taylor, Leader Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you very much. The motion, those matters are continued. Now may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Second.
Wow, loud and clear. Councilman Nanducci, seconded by Councilman Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion passes. We're adjourned. Thank you all for all the wonderful work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, awesome.